Yeah, what can I do for you?
Okay, picture a cell phone and an email machine all in one thing. There is a free wireless internet signal all across North America, and nobody has figured out how to use it. It's like the Force.
Matt, congratulations. I think BlackBerry is an amazing film. It tackles a very complicated situation. I've found actually, I think what interests me a lot is the tonal arc. It starts out playful, it gets dark, but there's always this underpinning of doom. And, you know, that's, I think, an overall statement of what tech and human connection is. So that's quite a balancing act. How did you work it out?
You know, I wanted it to feel kind of joyful and almost like, you know, like when you're a kid and you feel like, oh, I could be anything. Like you kind of have that Pan, like Peter Pan. That's what they call him, Pan, because you can be anything. Like your future is open to you. And so I wanted it to feel like that at the beginning, and almost responsibility free, because of precisely what you're saying, that as soon as they're forced to take what they're doing way more seriously, maybe against their will, I wanted to feel the loss of what was once there. And I think to forget about, in this case, it was a sense of fraternity, but also fun and play and friendship. To think that those are worthless in a monetary sense, I think is a mistake. Right? Yeah, and so it's why it was important to me for the beginning of the film to be, well, you said it, fun and exciting, and then for it to transition to this darker place. In terms of the kind of almost Titanic-esque feeling of doom, I think that doesn't just undergird tech stories. A lot of stories have a feeling like, oh, this is actually going to go badly, because look, on a long enough timeline, everyone dies. Everything is a tragedy. You know what I mean? And so I like the idea of having the audience think that, well, something bad is going to happen, but I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. I felt like it gave everything a kind of stakes that I really like to play with.
Yeah, that was so powerful, so well done. Congratulations. And you know, I wasn't expecting what I saw. I was expecting something tongue-in-cheek and satirical, perhaps. It's a very serious film. Jim Balsillie comes off as quite the jerk. And we see a lot of people like this in film, at least. I don't know a lot about elite business and whatnot, who have rage problems and
Right.
they get ahead. Was he like that?
It's funny, this is new information to me, because he hadn't seen the film until I think a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. And that was the first time I've met him in my life. He came to the Toronto premiere of the movie. Yeah. And I mean, as the film kind of shows, he's mellowed out quite a bit. He's actually quite personable in person. I think that Glenn actually does him quite an honor in that final moment when he realizes he's being fired. And what we see Glenn do is not explode into rage, which I think is what we're all expecting, but instead calmly think about it and then almost smile. I think it speaks to a deep truth that the real Jim went through. I heard a quote from his accountant after the screening, and Jim said, you know, it took me losing everything to realize what a big shot I was. And I think that I'd never heard that quote before we made the film, but I think that it's a bit of, well, it's heaven sent that Glenn felt that in that moment in the character, where it was like only by losing everything did he feel like he could finally relax and appreciate himself.
That guy is sketchy.
I don't think it's sketchy.
The guy's a shark.
I know how to market it, and I know who we can sell it to. But I want 50% of the company, and I've got to be CEO.
I don't know who you think you are, but
Deal.
are you joking?
We are in a race to get this thing to market, and we are a year behind. I need a prototype.
I'll do it perfectly, or I don't do it.
Mike, are you familiar with the saying, perfect is the enemy of good?
Well, good enough is the enemy of humanity.
What do you call it?
It's called a BlackBerry.
Were you too young to use a BlackBerry?
I was, sadly, but my dad had one. The irony of this film is that I had never even touched a BlackBerry before we started shooting the movie. It was the first time I actually had one in my hands, although that didn't dissuade me from being interested in the story. To be honest, I was less interested in the technology and more interested in the mythic journey of the characters. I thought that was much more interesting than the phones. But no, I'd never touched one before.
Oh, isn't that funny? And it made me think of my beloved Palm Pilot.
Yeah, right. We show one for a moment. Yeah, the CEO Carrie plays the CEO, and that's a real character. This guy Carl Yankowski is quite an interesting guy. I mean, Carrie played him almost exactly the way that he is.
Wow, isn't that something? Another casting note: Michael Ironside. Oh my God, what perfect casting! He separates that idyllic past from this hardened future.
Yeah, right.
Well.
He brings an almost military general grandfather energy to it. On set, we sort of talked about him maybe having a grandson who these punk kids reminded him of, that he thought was sort of a ne'er-do-well, addicted to video games, this kind of thing. And so this was his revenge in some ways on his own grandson, that he was going to whip these guys into shape. And
that could be. That's a good one. Matt, I want to say, brilliant film. I wish I could take your film course and hear more from you. Congratulations.
Oh, it was so nice speaking with you.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Try typing with your thumbs.
Get this baby in the hands of every Fortune 500 executive you can find. We call them BlackBerry's.
Should Doug come with us, or?
No. You want to be great, you need to sacrifice. And the more painful the sacrifice, the greater you'll be.
If we put more phones on these networks, they're going to crash.
Is this legal?
You need to sell 1 million BlackBerries. We are calling it iPhone.
We're in the middle of a hostile takeover!
Do you know what the sentence is for multi-million-dollar stock fraud?
What are you doing?
I'm doing it all. You guys have no idea how to run a company. What's happening, man? I created this entire market.
You said they were the best engineers in the world.
I said they're the best engineers in Canada.
What are they paying you?
I shouldn't say.
They're paying me $10 million.
Yeah, me too.